Hi, this is Deidre Hathor, and I hope whatever you're doing that's making you happy. Today's topic is going to be about the Bible and the lost books of the Bible, and we'll even do some excerpts from the Book of Thomas and other books. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Deidre Hathor Show.
The Bible is a holy book, a sacred text, which is a guide for all of us. It is full of history and life lessons. Is it the only book that will inspire you, teach you, enlighten, uplift, and give you life lessons? Maybe not. But I do believe it is divinely guided and was placed in our lives by God for a purpose. I consider the Bible to be incomplete. Yeah, I did say incomplete. The Holy Bible, the book that the Christians use, consists of 66 books, 27 books in the New Testament and 39 in the Old Testament. The Old Testament is called the Torah in Hebrew, which means teachings. The first 5 books of the Old Testament are called the Pentateuch, or 5 books of Moses. Also included in the Old Testament are books of the prophets and literary writings and poetry. It was written originally in Hebrew and Aramaic, but you'll find some in Greek. In Catholic Bibles, you'll find an additional book called the Apocrypha. So basically, Catholics are Christians. They believe in Jesus Christ dying on the cross, things like that. However, their Bible is different than the basic Christian Protestant Bible of the 66 books. The Apocrypha is comprised of the books of Ezra, Tobit, Judith, the Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiastes, and the books of Maccabees. In the Catholic Church today, the version is called the Douay-Rheims Bible, consisting of 73 books. You know how the Christians use the King James Version? Theirs is the Douay-Rheims Bible, consisting of 73 books instead of 66 books. In the Protestant Church, only the 66 books mentioned above are included. These are the books that were approved by the Archbishop of Canterbury in 1895. So, the Bible is a set of scrolls, parchment paper, different paper that could last thousands of years. And it's all those put into one book. So there's tons of them. They weren't the only ones that were found. They didn't find 66 books. They found more than that. And they are comprised of what is known as the Authorized King James Bible. Did you know that there are 28 books mentioned in the Bible that are not in the Bible? So literally, if the Bible talks about 28 other books, why shouldn't they be in the Bible? Some were saying that everything was too heavy to carry around as one concise book. But listen, these 28 books, though mentioned in the Bible, were not considered inspired texts. So even though they found them also, they didn't put them, they mentioned them in the Bible, but they're not inspired texts by God. It's just kind of strange how you're going to talk about a book and don't say it's inspired by God. There was no specific list or accounting of all the books that were made up in the Bible until the commission of the first Bible by the Emperor Constantine in the 4th century AD. So I'm going to repeat that to you. There was no specific list or accounting of all the books that made up the Bible until the commission of the first Bible. The first Bible that ever was asked to be made, was commissioned by the Emperor Constantine in the 14th century AD. Not King James, so don't get it all twisted. Prior to that, there was no Bible. What we call the Bible today are the books that make up the Authorized King James Bible. These are chosen by men. So King James chose a certain amount of men to come together to pick, and they picked 66 books and made a Bible. Many believe that these men were chosen by God to select which books were to be omitted and permitted into what we call now the Bible. The language of the King James Bible is obscured and limited, although it is considered by scholars to be the most literary example of the Bible Constantine began. What was to become a centuries-long effort to eliminate any book in the original Bible that did not support the new doctrine of the church. People say that didn't support the doctrine of the church, then it wasn't put into the Bible. Okay, so at that time, it is believed that there were over 600 books or scrolls which comprised the work we now know as the Bible. But they only picked 66. There were a series of decisions made by the early church leadership. All but 81 of those books, known as the King James translation of 1611, was purged from that work. So at first there was 81 books in the Bible from the King James translation from 1611. A further reduction by the Protestant Reformation brought the number to 66 in the authorized, quote-unquote, King James Bible. Those selected were considered the sacred texts inspired by God. The books known as the Apocrypha were not officially removed from the English printing of the King James Bible until 1885. So they didn't take out the Apocrypha until 1885. By the Archbishop of Canterbury, leaving only 66 books from the original 81. Most early Bibles contained the Apocrypha. Their Bibles, like in 1534, Luther's German translation, 1534, the Cloverdale Bible. They had 1537, Thomas Matthew Bible. They had 1568, the Bishop's Bible. You know King James came in 1625. In 1717, King George I, aka called it the Vinegar Bible. They had 1791, they had the Family Bible. So I can just go on and on. Now, among the many books that were excluded from the Bible was the Gospel of Thomas. This sacred text was discovered in the Egyptian desert. Some people in the Orthodox Church believe that the Gospel of Thomas was an agnostic forgery. So the reason why they say that they didn't put the Book of Thomas in the Bible, because they say that people sometimes forge different scrolls to confuse people and to get them to get away from Christianity. However, scholars who are presently involved with the studies of this text overwhelmingly believe that this book is authentic. This book is a reflection of the oneness that many ascended masters teach, indicating that God is truth, can be found everywhere and in everything. So here's an excerpt from the Book of Thomas. This is what Jesus says for Thomas, like in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in the Bible, who were all apostles of Jesus Christ. Thomas was also apostle of Jesus Christ, and this is what he said in the Book of Thomas. It says, Jesus said, if those who lead you say to you, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourself, then you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are the sons of the living Father. But if you will not know yourself, you dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. That's the Gospel of Thomas, the Lambdom translation, the Gnostic Society Library, http gnostic.org. The Gospel of Thomas is just one of many books included in the Bible. Below is a list of historical books that were not chosen in the Bible, and they did not become part of the King James Version of the Bible, or the 81 books of the Catholic Bible, which include 15 additional books of the Apocrypha. I have a whole list, and I'm reading from my book, Everything Spiritual, Epiphany, Volume 1, and this is on page 73, 71 to 79. They have a book called Adam and Eve, the life of Adam and Eve. They have Ages of the World. They have Abraham, Book of Abraham. It would make sense that Abraham wrote his own book, just like all the rest of the powerful men and Moses did and things like that. That's just in the A's. And go to the B's. They got the Acts of Barnabas. Barnabas was the one who discovered Paul. God was talking to Barnabas about Paul when he left Saul and became Paul. and became an apostle. The book of Jasper. In the seas, they have Clement 1 and Clement 2. They have the Hymn of the Creator, the Epistles of Corinth. In the D's, they have Daniel and Susanna, the Vision of Daniel. In the E's, they have the book of Elijah. Enoch, of course, Enoch walked and talked with God. Of course, he should have a book, right? The complete list of 600 books, not including the Bible, is located in the back of the book. So I can give you the whole list from A to Z. The book of Jasper was mentioned in Joshua 10 and 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasper? So the sun stood still in the midst of the heavens and has not to go down the whole day. So the Hebrew Israelites were fighting, and so the prophet asked that God would give them more time, because they knew if sun went down that they would lose the next day. So they were on a momentum and they would win. But the point is that the book of Jasper is mentioned in the Bible, but it's not one of the books that are put into the Bible. In 2 Samuel 1 and 18, it also said, also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasper. So isn't that kind of strange that you wouldn't put that in the Bible? And there's other examples of other books that are mentioned in the Bible, but not in the Bible. One thing I want to read to you, which I thought was really, 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 really amazingly great, is taken from the Apocryphon of John, the sweet words of Jesus. The Father of light is not merely God or a God or similar to a God. Is it correct to think of him so? He is his invisible spirit. Since there is none more powerful, no one is able to give him orders. He does not live in inferior beings. Rather, everything exists in him. He even brought himself into being, and he lives forever because he does not require sustenance. Since he does not lack for anything, he needs nothing for completion. He is a completely perfect light being. His ability is unlimited, since there is no one more powerful to set limits. He is not able to be closely examined as a specimen, for no one lived before him to examine him. For the same reason, he cannot be measured. He is invisible, since no one has seen him. He is eternal, for he has no beginning. He is undescribable, since no one is able to comprehend him, to speak of him. He cannot be named, since there was no one in authority to name him. He is blinding light, pure, holy, immaculate. Since all but him are corrupt, he is incorruptible. No one is able to describe his blessed divinity or perfection. He is even superior to such eloquent words in the fullness of meaning. He is not corporal or incorporeal. He is not corruptible or incorruptible. He is neither large nor small. No one can say of what quality or what quantity he is. No one can know him. He is more than superior. He is beyond the confines of time and reality, since he created them and did not receive them from another. Does not look for anyone for anything out of need. All look expectantly to him in his light. His perfection is majestic. He is pure, limitless mind. He is time-giving time, life-giving life, blessings-giving blessed, knowledge-giving knowledge, goodness-giving goodness, mercy and redemption, giving mercy, grace-giving grace. Not because these are his possessions, rather they are the benefits of his gifts of immeasurable and incomprehensible light. How can I describe him, or that you can understand? His essence is indestructible. His repose is in the confident knowledge of being before all. He is the head of all creation, and he imparts strength through his goodness. We are unable to describe him accurately or understand him. All that is but the one who came forth from the Father. This one who came forth is able to describe him because he looks at the Father through a very light that surrounds him. Light is also called the spring of life. So he is the mediator who imparts his light to all creations in every way. For he is able to gaze into the Father's image in the spring water of spirit. He is able to accomplish his desires through the water light that surrounds him. Now you know, for I have told you. And this is James and Robinson, the Nagi Hamita Library of English in San Francisco. I love how Jesus is calling God the Father of light. The Father is not light, is not merely God or a God, similar to a God. It is incorrect to think of him as so. He is invisible spirit. Since there is none more powerful, no one is able to give him orders. He does not live in inferior beings. Rather, everything exists in him. He even thought himself into being. So, I don't see why this book wouldn't be in the Bible. It just describes God, and just so amazing. I just want you to know that I love the Bible. It's one of my favorite books. It's one of my foundation books. Yet I know that it is not the only source of divine knowledge to assist mankind in walking the spiritual path. Just as Noah is not the only flood experience to be found in inspired text. The story of Gilgamesh was also a flood story, which is very similar to Noah's story. The Bible is a truth. As it is written in Genesis, people say in the beginning, in Hebrew it really transfers, in the beginning, in a beginning, like the Hebrews' beginning of what they tell of their story. Because we know we're not 6,000 years old, we're like millions of years old as people. So I hope you got an understanding of the lost books of the Bible, and my opinion of it. And think for yourself. It makes a lot of sense. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Deidre Hathor, and I'm loving you right now.